Hi internet people. So this episode of Stitchers is surprisingly easier to recap than I was anticipating. So Freeform did this thing that I've noticed a lot of shows doing recently where they pick this like super intensive element of the episode to focus on for the previews, which makes total sense. It draws viewers in, it like pulls them in a lot more than typical previews do. But this episode didn't really deal with that like super intensive element that I thought it was going to deal with. So in the previews we saw that Camille gets put into this all-in website that sets you out to be like a hit person. I had thought that that element would be like the biggest part of the episode, but it actually didn't show up until after the halfway point, which surprised me a lot. We actually saw a lot of interactions between Fisher, Camille, and Fisher and Maggie, which was interesting because Fisher doesn't always get a lot of screen time, so this episode gave him a little bit more than he has in a lot of other episodes. So really, here's the layout of all the stitching and the random deaths. So a volleyball player is actually murdered. It turns out that she's murdered by a guy who is like streaming it on his phone, and he kills her with this really weird knife. And when they stitch into her, they learn that she was killed. Presumably, they learned this later, that she was going to report her team member for doping. And then someone else shows up dead. And when that guy shows up dead, we see the guy who killed the volleyball player threatening him with another throwing knife. But he's not the killer of that guy. That guy is his agent and is refusing to let him out of his contract. Then we see agent guy go out to a parking lot, and then this guy comes up and is pretending to ask him for directions, but he's on his phone too. And on the phone is the same symbol that was on the phone in the previous stitch. They figured out that this little image, this like weird chili pepper, is connected to All In, which is a darknet website. Darknet, super not okay place. They managed to bring in the guy who shot the agent, and they go to, Camille and Fisher go to talk to the magician. So what happens is we learn that, Fisher winds up throwing a throwing knife at the magician, which is intense and super awesome. Fisher also really likes old theaters, which is fun. So like that happens, they get the magician, and then when they're interrogating the guy with the gun, we learn that All In is set up. They compare it to something else, but I'm going to call it the Strangers on a Train app. Mostly because I watched Horrible Bosses a couple weeks ago, and they compare what they decide to do to Strangers on a Train, and it's stuck in my head. So basically what happens is you sign up to be a hitman, and then you swap, you have someone you want to kill, someone else has someone they want to kill, and it sort of like scrambles the people up, so you're not technically connected to any of them. It's sort of how Horrible Bosses is set up if you've seen the movie Horrible Bosses and Strangers on a Train. It happens in a couple other things too, where the idea is that you can't get caught if you commit a crime that's not connected to you. It's actually a theory that comes up if you study crime stuff long enough. The idea that if the case has a killer that you can't, that isn't personally related to the victim, they're much harder to find because there's no motive, typically. So if there's no motive, you can't correlate killer to criminal, or killer to victim. Anyway, fun fact for you. So they figure out what All In is, and then once they figured that out, they arrest the doping volleyball player who is about to hit the man with the gun's ex-wife, and then they have the magician in custody already because leg wound. So that's all taken care of, but that took up about half of the episode. At the very beginning though, because I wanted to get the stitching element altogether, Ivy has basically been blackballed by everybody because they found out that she was the Cameron's simulation. They're all super pissed, but she's pissed at them for breaking into her apartment. In that setup, we actually learned that she wasn't always Baby Cameron. She was only Baby Cameron in the trapped memory, not throughout. Stinger was actually using it throughout, and she took it over because Stinger told her that if she helped him, that their family could get back together. So he was basically using her. I mean, he is using her. He emotionally manipulated her to get her to go along with stuff. So she's not talking to anyone, which is a problem. Back to the Stitch stuff. After they get everyone arrested, the system is still running. Like, All In is still a website, it's still functioning. So they're talking about shutting it down through the NSA. What happens is, Linus, while like explaining how to set up for the site, sends Camille up. Then he puts himself in as Camille's victim, which pisses the heck out of Camille, which makes total sense. So everyone's under like lockdown. So Camille and Linus aren't allowed to leave the lab. And Cameron and Kirsten are together at his apartment, and they get the call from the compliance agent who says someone is coming, but they had thought that the person who was committing the crime who was supposed to kill someone if they back out, they would get killed, but it turns out that's not the case. So there's some like little teases where a pizza delivery guy shows up at Cameron and Kirsten's, and Cameron says, we didn't order any pizza, except Kirsten did. There's a guy helping Amanda set up for her gig, and he kind of, like, you can't see him. He's making lots of random noises. Turns out Amanda knows who he is, so it's not a big deal. But then what happens is Fisher is walking to his car, and this woman walks out who, she has a name, but literally I always just remember that she's the, like, evil sort of stepmom from Parent Trap, the one with Lindsay Lohan. She's in a ton of other stuff. She was also in Inspector Gadget 2. Just fun fact. But she shows up, says she's behind All In, and turns herself in, which is a ploy. She actually knows Maggie. They go way back because Maggie used to be CIA. They were on like a kill team together. Then she blames Maggie for leaving her behind after a mission that sort of went wrong. And she's actually there to kill Maggie, like, it's this whole thing. So, while Maggie and Fisher are figuring out what to do, because the website's been shut down, it's all handled, this woman busts out of the room because she hid, like, a lock-picking thing in her mouth, and so she picks the lock, steals the NSA agent's gun. She goes after Maggie and Fisher. Maggie and Fisher wind up doing some intensive teamwork, and they take her down. Hardcore. She's dead. So that happens, which led to Maggie and Fisher talking. They had talked about stuff earlier, so they've had some time together in this, and their working together was really, really cool because Maggie's been in and out this season, and Fisher's been dealing with his own relationship drama, which is still happening. He got a call from Stephanie, which I don't know if he answered or if it ended poorly. I'm not sure, but it did not look like a happy phone call when she called him, so there was that. But the ending of the episode was really, the rest of the ending of the episode was really awesome because Camille showed up at the bar that Amanda was playing at and sang this amazing song to her, and they made up, and I was super happy, and it was so great. So Commanda is sailing, and the finale is coming, so hopefully they're still together by the end of the finale, because I love the two of them together, and I was really excited. And then Kristen and Cameron got to have sex, because the oxytocin thing is made. Linus made one, it's a thing, it's good to go, so they had sex. Which, good for them. They've been waiting a long time. The not so great thing is that Stinger and Ivy met up, and Ivy actually contacted him and informed him she hacked Linus's account and knows that they're going to kill the mom. She's been moved a few times. Maggie actually told Kirsten she was going to tell her where her mom was. Turns out they're going to kill her. I don't think Maggie is specifically, but somehow that's in the works. So for the finale, Kirsten is actually going to stitch into her mom, which is going to be intense because her mom's still alive. So there's a lot of that. But this episode was interesting. The premise of it was cool. It was weird because I literally just watched a comedic version of sort of the same thing a couple weeks ago. But the setup for it was really good. I really liked the ending. I really liked the Camille and Amanda moment that happened. That was so good. I like seeing Fisher and Maggie together more just because they haven't had a lot of screen time together. It was also directed by Sally Richardson, who plays Maggie, which is very cool. She's been doing a lot of director stuff. So that was really fun. I did enjoy the episode. I'm looking forward to the finale. I don't exactly know how the Stitch is going to go, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments below or on Twitter. I'm at CliffNotes. You can find me on my blog, cliffnotes.wordpress.com. I write for the Nerdy Girl Express, thenerdygirlexpress.com, and earn their Snapchat, the Nerdy Girl EXP. Bye, Internet people.